أموال الناس بالإثم وأنتم تعلمون يسألونك عن الأهلة قل هي مواقيت للناس والحج وليس البر بأن تأتوا البيوت من ظهورها ولكن البر من اتقى وأتوا البيوت من أبوابها واتقوا الله لعلكم تفلحون وقاتلوا في سبيل الله الذين يقاتلونكم ولا تعتدوا إن الله لا يحب المعتدين صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Wakhir the echo, please. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلوات وأتم التسليم على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Please make sure that I'm able to see you, and as we always announce, for the next 40-45 minutes put your mobile phones away. You know how I am. I'll look at you, I'll name you, and I'll shame you. I don't care who you are. Even if you're Ibn Wazir or Bit Wazira, I'll still call your name out. So if I can't see you, that means you can't see me, right? If the shelf is empty, that means the shelf is empty. If I can't see you, that who's next to you on this side, Tuni? You come here. Come on this side, Maui. Move this side. Who else? Who's next to you? Shinawa, who's on this side of you? No one? Okay. In preparation for the holy month of Ramadan, which will be next week, inshallah, I will be sharing a few pointers that I believe is really, really important for all of us, as far as how we should be preparing for the holy month of Ramadan. And of course, what we've frequently mentioned is, unfortunately, in many cases, we really have the wrong direction as far as gaining maximum benefit from Ramadan. If you look at statistics, which I usually share in the beginning of each year, each Ramadan, I did this last year, I did this the year before, that even when it comes to something like food, we have a very, very high percentage of increase in the food consumption that we have, in how much we buy, in the variety that we eat as well. So much so that unfortunately some people say, I can't wait until Ramadan comes, because that's when we're going to have the different type of food and sweets and halawiyat and this and that and this and that. That itself defeats the very purpose of Ramadan and Siyam. So you can't later on blame yourself or others that you have not benefited from Shahr Ramadan, that you have not got anything out of fasting. A lot of people ask, why is it that I pray and I get nothing out of it? I don't feel anything, bless you. I don't feel anything when it comes to my prayer or any of that sort. Well, what are you doing in preparing yourself for your act of worship? You think it's just something spontaneous that you only need a few seconds beforehand for you to get into the prayer mode? What is the purpose of wudu and adhan and iqamah? Does wudu make you physically cleaner on the outside? The answer is no. Because you're wiping your feet, you're not washing your feet. For our case, your feet could be stinky, your whole body could be dirty. And when you are washing, when you're doing wudu, you're only washing parts of your body, of your wudu parts, but the rest, they're not clean. Wudu isn't just about you being quote unquote clean, but something more than that. How many times have we spoken about this pandemic, this crisis that we have in today's society, obsession with mobile phones and with social media? And how sickening it is, especially for young boys and girls who become so self-absorbed that they gain mental illnesses like selfitis. We've heard of that before, haven't we? We've mentioned that before. Some people, is it girls more or boys more? Boys or girls taking 200, 300 selfies all at once, and looking at each one of them and then saying, oh, I think I need a nose job. I think I need this. I think I need that. I think I need this. Oh, this is a marad. This is an illness. This is a mental illness. This isn't what I'm saying. This is what psychologists say. Psychologists say the more you are on social media, wa alaikum salam, Sayyid. The more you are on social media, the more mental health problems you're going to have, like anxiety, like depression, like self-consciousness, like thinking bad and negative about yourself, like lack of self-esteem, lack of self-value, because you're comparing yourself. You're sitting here in Sydney in this heat, and you're thinking about your friend, your cousin, who's taking pictures in when? Maldives. Is it Maldives or Maldives? And then you compare yourself. The biggest problem is when someone compares themselves with other people, and that's what we unfortunately see very, very often in social media. Oh, look at me, I've only got 20 followers, and look at Mr. Beast. How many followers, subscribers does Mr. Beast have? Huh? Journalists, do you know? 100 million, you see? Everyone knows Mr. Beast. Do you know Mr. Beast, Ibrahim? Everyone knows Mr. Beast. I was in Melbourne on the weekend, and this 11-year-old kid said to me, Sheikh, I thought he was going to ask me like a fiqh question about salah, about how can we prove the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said to me, Sheikh, what's your opinion about Andrew Tate? And I said, oh, you need to make sure that you say brother and Andrew Tate, because he's one of ours now, mashallah alayh. I said, Yani, really? How old are you? He said, I'm 11. I said, really? That's why we've got everything the wrong way around. And that's why, unfortunately, a lot of parents are not knowing how damaging mobile phones are and giving kids, little za'atit, boys and girls, mobile phones, so they become obsessed. It becomes a addiction. Some people snort things for addiction, huh? And some people use things for addiction. It's the same thing. This is addiction, this is addiction, right? At least, you know, anyway, we're being recorded, so I need to be careful with what we say. The point here is that if you are not conscious of your conduct and your behavior and your direction in life, you're not really going to benefit, and you're not really going to get that real benefit in this life that you live in. And that's why when it comes to Shahr Ramadan, you need to have the correct mindset. If you're thinking only about food and what you're going to have for iftar and these things, then of course, how are you going to feel and sympathize with the fuqara and the poor people and the underprivileged? Have a plan for yourself. Make sure that you have the right kind of mindset. Even if you are invited somewhere, make sure that when you look at the big sufra of food, you only look at what is in front of you and you be selective in what it is that you eat. We've spoken about the adab, the etiquette of eating in Islam, and one of the etiquettes of eating in Islam is that you only eat whatever is there in front of you. You don't look at the other side where all the nice food are, or you don't be thinking about, oh, that person, he took the juicy part of laham and I like that more than what it is that I got the last part, or the cold kebab, or this or that. What does Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam say? He says that if your main concern is what enters your stomach, your value will be what exits you. Your value will be what exits you. Do I need to explain that? No. And this is why when we're talking about Shahr Ramadan, please make sure, I'm not going to read these things out, so please make sure that you read them. We understand that this is the only month in our religion where it is wajib for you to fast the whole month. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be fasting in other parts of the year. The hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, he says, Sumu tasihhu, fast and you will become healthy. Don't they call it intermittent fasting? What's intermittent fasting? Intermedium. Is it called intermittent? What is it? Salam farmande. I'll let guess who came. Illa lazim yata'akharun. Alaykum salam. And now Nisar is going to walk in. Is he? What is it called? You know they always blame you for being late, by the way. Nisar and Sajjad always blame you for being late. Is that true? Alaykum salam, ahlan. What is it called? What? Interstellar? Intermedium? Intermediate? Who knows what it's called? Intimate? What it means is, what's it called? Intermittent. Intermediate. It means that you go for certain hours fasting and certain hours eating. When you're fasting with your intermittent fasting, intermediate fasting, intimate fasting, you are only fasting and staying away from like big meals, but you can have a weak drink of water and things like that. And I say that's very healthy. It's giving your intestines a rest, which you all need. Sumu tasihhu, the Prophet says, fast and you will be healthy. Fasting is a healthy thing, is a good thing. But you need to do it the right way. Not binge eating, not become gluttonous, not overeating, not eating unhealthy food, not making sure that you for example, fast when you're eating good quality foods, making sure that you have the right kind of diet, and that's when you'll gain maximum benefit from fasting in Shahr Ramadan and outside of Shahr Ramadan. Who's fasted during Sha'ban? Anyone? One person on the sister's side? 2, 3? How about on the boys? Jojo? Chadab. All right. How about the older boys? Ibrahim? No one. Shawi, how many days? 3. How about the Shamlans? Mawi, don't lie, Mawi. Tara. Allah watches you, Tara. 1 day. Good. Point here is that you've got a few more days for Shahru Sha'ban, fast them. If you don't have qada, fast them as a mustahab fast. Preparing yourself for Shahru Ramadan. Journalist, what does that say? Descending of all 5 divine books. Quran. Who was that sent to? All right, Torah. What's Torah called in English? Huh? The Torah. Who was that sent down to? Who was that sent down to? Sisters. Nabiullah Musa alayhi salam. Shame on you guys. I don't know what's wrong. Hey, what's happening in the back? A lot of talking in the back. Who is it? Injil. What's the Injil called in English? No. No. Yes. No. Injil. The Gospels. Who was that brought down to? Nabi Isa. And the next book is Zabur. And Zabur in English it's called the... No, shuf hada. The Psalms. How do you spell Psalms? Thank you. Who said S? Who else said F? Go back to school. Good. And who was that brought down to? Thank you so much. Are you a Shanawa? And then we have the last one, which is Suhufu Ibrahim. And who was that sent down to? Yeah. Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. Thank you very much. So, Shahru Ramadan alladhi unzila fihi al-Quran. That's why the holy month of Ramadan is so important. There are many important events, but the major events is the passing away of Sayyidah Khadija alayhi salam, the beloved wife of Rasulullah, the birthday of Imam Hassan and Mujtaba, the shahada of Imam Ali, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, and of course Laylatul Qadr. One of the things that we really need to focus on in our lives, and especially in Ramadan, is increasing our level of ikhlas. This is a big thing that we all need to struggle with and work on. What are you doing and who are you doing it for? Are you bringing a cup of water to the Sheikh so you can get some praises from the people? Are you serving for the sake of someone saying, bah, look at this person, mashallah, he's a very khadoom? Are you growing a beard so that people can say, mashallah, look at him, he's such a religious person? Are you praying with a nice tajweed voice so people can say, look at this Abid Zahid person? Why are you doing what it is that you are doing? Are you going to Karbala so people can say, mashallah alayha, mashallah alayh? Ikhlas, and making sure that what you do is purely for the sake of God is very, very important. Because when you show off or when you do it without ikhlas, it ruins your deeds the way, as the hadith says, vinegar ruins honey. It will burn your deeds the way fire burns through logs, as the hadith says. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, when you are standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're going to say, oh, I did this, and I did that, and I did this, and I did that, and Allah is going to say, well, none of them were done purely for me, so go straight to, when? Hell. Right? So therefore, when it comes to ikhlas, we really, really need to work on our intentions and why we do certain things. We need to work on our intentions. Enemies of ikhlas. Salam Farmande. What's bragging mean, mister? What does it mean? Muhammad, what's bragging mean, Mr. Hamadani? Yes, thank you. Carry on. Yes, again, this is sometimes Imam Ali alayhi salam has a beautiful hadith where he says that some people worship God like tujar, like businessmen. Okay, I'm going to do this for you, Allah, but I expect this reward from you. And some worship God like as if they are slaves. Oh, I'm only doing this because you want me to do it. But then Imam Ali salamullahi alayhi, he says that your ibadah needs to be ibadatul ahrar, the worship of a free person, that you are doing it purely and solely for the sake of God. And that's why, pay attention everyone, it's really important for you to ask this question to yourself. If it wasn't wajib for me to pray, would I still pray? It's a really, really difficult question. And if you confidently say, oh yeah, I'll pray, you're also akbar shuno? Huh? Kazab, as Lebanese say. We're not going to say chadhab, we're going to say kazab. Why is that? Because right here I asked you, how many of you have done fasting in Sha'ban? 99% of you didn't put your hand up. And you know that it's very mustahab to fast in Sha'ban. Worshipping God is a relationship that you need to build. A relationship that you need to build out of passion, out of ishq. The same way as Layla was in love with Mino? Majnoon. Layla and Majnoon. Where did you go, Hajj? Yeah. Layla and Majnoon. You all know the story of Layla and Majnoon? No. Romeo and? Thank you, Hussein. I think you're a bit too young to know about Romeo and Juliet, but I don't know. Where's your father? I don't know. What your father is doing? Ana ma a'ruf. Right? And his name wasn't really Majnoon. What was his name? Huh? What was it? Imra'ul Qais. You just made it up. It's coincidental. But because he was so madly in love with Layla, right? They started to call him Majnoon. That's how your love needs to be. And that's why Hajj said it in the right place with Imam Hussein. We love Imam Hussein. And someone did something so crazy They said, what's wrong? And he said, Hubbul Hussein ajannani. Hubbul, it's love of Imam Hussein that has made me go crazy. Loving of God means that everything you see God as well. That's really, really difficult to get to. But it's all about you building that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why when we're talking about siyam and fasting and sincerity, as Sayyidah Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, she said that Allah has mandated fasting to increase your level of sincerity, to make you learn about sincerity. How do I know if you're fasting without you not telling me or me not asking you? I don't know. I know that you're praying because I can see. I know that you're doing your Hajj because I can see. I know that you're doing other acts of worship because I can see. But fasting is the only act of worship that you are told not to do things instead of do things. And that is a way of you learning how to increase your level of sincerity and ikhlas. Tony Saadi, he's going to get, I can't say it, but it starts with Vi. O, Lent. Put that together. I can't say it. Sayyidah Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, she has this beautiful hadith where this is what she says. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mandated iman as a form of purifying your heart from sin, from shirk. Salah as a form of keeping you away from being arrogant and haughty. Zakah as a form of increasing in your rizq. When you pay your zakat, when you pay your wajib, when you pay your khums, when you pay your sadaqah, you're not losing, you're winning. And siyam, because you're avoiding, you're refraining from doing things, God is testing your level of sincerity, and you are able to test yourself in that. Right? And of course, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, he says in regards to حج أحسنت اجيت لأنه شوية يحتاجون جرة إذان. شكرا. Now everyone's nice and good. See? Why can't you be that nice to me? What did I do to you? لا دا شاقة, دا أمزح. I'm joking. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, this is what he says. Where's our reader? Where's Mr. Shimlan? Where are you? Yalla, read it. Man ashiqal ibadah. What does that mean? What? How do you know? Oh, you're reading from the translation. Good. Fa biqalbihi. Yani you passionately love ibadah. The biggest problem that we have, especially with little za'atit, little kids, most of you are here anyway. Don't think because you've got a moustache and a beard, you're not a za'atut anymore. Gum salli. Who hears that sentence or get up and pray more than 10 times a day in their house? Huh? On the boys' side and the girls' side. Put your hand up, Jojo. Put your hand up, Maliki. Good on ya. Shamlan, put your hand up as well. How about you, Shinawa? No one needs to tell you to get up and pray. If you know it's salah time and you are passionate and you love worshiping God and you want to build a relationship with God, no one needs to tell you to get up and pray, because it's important for you itself. You need to know the value of salah and prayer. Yes. Yeah. So someone who has that kind of relationship with God doesn't worry how they wake up the next morning, if they wake up with a problem or they wake up nice and comfortable the next day, because they have absolute reliance on God. Coming to how we should be planning our schedule. By the way, it's very, very sad that so many of us are really, really unorganized, especially with our daily routine, especially with waking up, especially with when we go to sleep. Unorganized, clutter, very inconsistent, no plan, no program. Imam Ali says, "Usikum bitaqwallah wa nazmi amrikum." Have fear God and organize your affairs. Be well organized. Don't be mkharbat. Don't be unorganized. Be nazm. Don't be someone who is dirty or has a dirty room, ya Mehdi. Or what? Is your room clean now? Is it? Be organized. Make sure that you are well planned for your day. And Shahr Ramadan is a very, very important time for you to be organized. You've got your ibadah activities and you've got your social activities. As far as your ibadah activities, suhoor time, we say suhoor, some people say sahari, some people say seheri, right? But whatever it is, it's the pre-dawn time, where before Fajr time, it's mustahab, by the way, to wake up and eat something and drink something at suhoor time. It's mustahab. When you do so, wake up with enough time for you to be able to do a variety of things, whether it be having your nice suhoor and choosing what kind of food to eat. For example, stay away from salty food, yarhamukumullah. Stay away from salty food, because salty food makes you thirsty. Don't eat zaytun, don't eat olives, because olives make you thirsty. Minimize your dairy products as well. Eat food that is good in its nutrients, is healthy. Most beneficial is dates, tamur, right? Make sure that you look into what kind of foods you should eat for suhoor and what kind of food you should avoid. Alhamdulillah, you've all got Google, so you're able to ask Google. Then, of course, you have your, you recite your dua as-sahar, which is very, very important. Anyone knows how that starts? Dua as-sahar. Shame on all of you. Shame, shame, shame. Allahumma, what is it? What is it, Ali? Do you know it? Ali? Yeah. What is it, Tuni? Allahumma inni as'aluka bi bahaika bi abha wa kullu bahaika bahi. See? It's called Dua al-Sahar, or it's called Dua al-Baha. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's sorry, my fault. My fault. It's called Dua al-Sahar. It's called Dua al-Sahar, okay? Or Dua al-Baha. So this is what you recite at suhoor time, right? Then, if you want, you can pray. If you can't pray all of Salatul Layl, you pray parts of Salatul Layl. You brush your teeth, Hussein. And then you make sure that you refrain from eating and drinking a few minutes before Adhan time. And then you get ready for Adhan, you pray Fajr, and then you either start off your day or you go back to sleep for a while. This is for suhoor time. During the day, unfortunately, one of the most complaints that we receive from schools, from teachers, is your son is lazy, your daughter is falling asleep in class, your son is not doing his homework, your daughter is this, your son is this, your son is that. That's very, very shameful. Very shameful. Because you decide to be unorganized and therefore you're falling asleep during the school time because you don't want to sleep in the night time because you're missing out or because you're invited for futur and you're coming back at home 11 o'clock. Yes, we understand Layal al-Qadr is different. Layal al-Qadr, don't even go to school the next day if you don't want to, because it's very mustahab to stay awake all night, right? Don't even go to school the next day. But for the rest of the time, make sure that you are leaving a good impression for your teachers in Shahr Ramadan. You've also got holidays as well, don't you? So that's also a good thing. So during the day, reporter, what does it say?
Avoid strenuous work, too much exercise, and being under the sun.
Yes. Next.
Remember you are fasting, so present yourself in the most Islamic and best way.
Yes. Next.
And recite your juz'ah of the Quran and the daily du'as.
And the daily du'as. Who has never recited the whole Quran? Okay. You make sure, boys up the front here, make sure that this Shahr Ramadan, you recite the whole Quran. If you recite one juz'ah a day, how long does it take to recite a juz'ah? Yeah, how long does it take? One day? Half an hour, maybe a bit too short, but let's say 45 to 50 minutes to recite one juz'ah. Right? Next, Mister.
Help around with the house and with the fun preparation.
Yes, especially with the boys. Don't think that this is a girl's job and the women need to be doing all the work in the kitchen. Your wife, your mother, your sister, or انت حاط رجل على رجل, you're not doing anything and you're only asking for this and asking for that. No, assist and help in the kitchen, preparing the sufra, cleaning afterwards. Make sure that you do that. Right? And last one is focus on improving the quality of your day. And this is exactly why Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, لا يكون يوم صومك كيوم فطرك. That your fasting day should not be similar to your non-fasting day. When you're fasting, your eyes need to fast, your hands need to fast, your tongue needs to fast, your ears need to fast. What's the point in you fasting and seeing haram? Or you fasting and talking haram, speaking foul language, disgusting language, using bad words, which is haram. What's the point? And what's the point in you fasting and listening to haram? You're fasting and you're listening to Rayhana, for example. Futur time. We listening, boys? Pray first. Don't delay your prayer. I know you're hungry. I know you're faj'an, as Lebanese say. But pray first. Pray first, because after you break your fast, you become very lethargic and you lose concentration. And it's not good to pray on a full stomach. It's not good to pray on a full stomach. It's always good and better to pray on an empty stomach. But if your mind is only focused on food, either you're able to control your mind, and if you can't, under no circumstance, have some water, have some tamur, have some, break your fast, just get rid of it and go back. But learn that not everything is about you getting what you want. It's called jihadun nafs, which is very, very important. The next is for you to remember, to memorize and recite dua of iftar. Allahumma laka صمنا وعلى رزقك أفطرنا وعليك توكلنا. Memorize that. It's also very mustahab to recite Surah Al-Qadr. Inna anzalnahu fi Laylat Al-Qadr. It's very recommended to recite Laylat Al-Qadr before you break your fast. Don't eat quick. Don't eat fast. Don't eat too much. Right? Calm down. Do it slowly. The food's not going to run away. Don't be someone who nags and complains about the food as well. Whatever is there in front of you, eat it. Don't be a complainer or a nagger. And always, what does it say? Finish your plates. Don't put too much. And of course, as we said, help with others as far as cleaning up. Make sure that you're helping with preparation and also with cleaning up. And then get ready to go to the masjid. Get ready to go for your nightly religious program. In the night, you've got dua al-iftitah. You've got learning. Shahr Ramadan is the best time for you to learn about your religion. Learning is really, really important. Alaykum salam. Zaid, I didn't recognize you. Educating yourself. And of course, midnight is Dua Abi Hamza al-Thumali, which is a very, very important, very nice dua. At least we're listening. At least recite it once in Ramadan. At least recite it once in Shahr Ramadan. At least. It's a long dua. Maybe take you about 45, 50 minutes. But it's a very, very nice dua to recite. And most importantly, sleep early. Don't sleep late. Because you need the energy. Okay? In regards to Quran, as we know, that Shahr Ramadan, the month of Ramadan, is the month of the Quran. The month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran came down. The hadith says, لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ رَبِيعٍ وَرَبِيعُ الْقُرْآنِ شَهْرُ Ramadan. There is a spring for everything, and the spring of Ramadan is, the spring of the Quran is the month of Ramadan. Reciting one ayah in this month of Ramadan is equivalent to reciting the whole Quran outside of the month of Ramadan. And that's why I'm encouraging you all to make sure that you recite as much as you can in this holy month. But most importantly, be consistent and stick to the schedule. If you're not that confident in reciting, recite along with a reciter, either in a program, like for example here in the Musalla they have a program for Khatma Qur'aniyya, or on YouTube, find a qari that you are comfortable with. For example, I would recommend Sudais and Shuraim. You might like Minshawi. You might like, for example, some of the Iranian qaris. But find someone that you like in their rhythm and stick with them. Okay? Then we have, lastly, social activities. Make sure that you are doing something useful and productive in Shahr Ramadan. Make sure that you're paying sadaqah. Make sure that you're assisting and cooperating in charity work, remembering the poor, appreciating what you have. Right? Silatul Arham is wajib. Make sure that you observe this in Shahr Ramadan. If you haven't been speaking with one of your relatives, or you're za'lan, or you're upset, or use the holy month of Ramadan to reconnect back with them, because it's wajib to do so. And of course, breaking someone else's fast. من أفطر صائما ولو بشق تمره وجبت له الجنة. If you break someone else's fast, even if it is a piece of a date, heaven will be wajib for you. Heaven will become wajib for you. That's why you have like invites and azimas, and this person inviting that person, and you doing something to invite someone else. All right. If you're not able to invite and you don't have a house on your own, you are able to pay for someone's breaking of fast. A lot of charity projects out there where you are able to help and assist in iftaru sa'im, in breaking someone's fast, which is really, really mustahab and important. And of course, lastly, making sure that you become the masjidi kind of person. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, sitting down in the masjid for an hour is better than everything in heaven. Is more loved. I would love to be in a masjid than I would love to be in heaven, and whatever heaven has to offer for me. If that's what Imam Ali is saying, why aren't we doing the same thing, and why aren't we building that strong connection with the masjid? Whichever masjid it may be, wherever it may be, as long as you are consistent, because this is where you are charging and recharging your soul. Here in Australia, we don't have any kind of spiritual atmosphere outside of the masjid or outside of your house. So we need to find substitutes and alternatives. And that's why it's really important for us to come again and again and again, either here or anywhere else, as long as you are consistent and learning and participating and contributing in the dua, in the program, in educating yourself, in socializing, getting to know new people, whatever it may be. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين.